Tastes like Quickie. You think these cases can't get any weirder? How about United States versus 95 barrels, more or less, alleged apple cider vinegar? This is a case where the insanity of civil asset forfeiture meets the insanity of the Prohibition-Era. A lot of people don't realize that era was as much about food as alcohol. The food market was rapidly expanding, with manufactured food being packaged and sold all over the country. The same people who were fear-mongering about whiskey were also fear-mongering about unscrupulous companies selling bizarre things mislabeled as regular food items. Douglas Packing Company made apple cider vinegar. In order to maintain a consistent supply of apples, they dehydrated them, later to be rehydrated and fermented into vinegar. The only difference between their product and regular cider was taking the water out and putting it back in. There were some additional chemicals used, but neither side alleged that this affected the vinegar. It was also acknowledged that otherwise the manufacturing process was exactly the same. They also didn't claim that dried apples made vinegar of inferior quality, and in fact there was no discernible difference in taste. Chemical examination likewise yielded no significant differences. But still, according to the Pure Food and Drug Act, this was a misbranded food, since up to this point, cider had been made with fresh apples, and that's what was commonly understood. And the Supreme Court upheld it unanimously. By suing the vinegar itself instead of the company, the government was able to flip burden of proof on its head, with Douglas Packing having to try and prove that their cider was real cider. And for some reason they couldn't do it with either taste tests or chemical analysis. They would have won if they could do that. The Supreme Court verified that there was no real difference in the final product. Pierce Butler, delivering the opinion of the court, said, "Deception may result from the use of statements not technically false or which may be literally true." I mean, what? Quote, "The substance removed was a part of their juice from which cider and vinegar would have been made if the apples had been used in their natural state. That element was not replaced." But that substance was water, and the water was replaced. But, quote, "The added water was never a constituent element or part of the apples. The use of dried apples necessarily results in a different product." So because it wasn't the same water that was taken from the apples when they were dehydrated, that makes it a different product and makes it misbranded. The Prohibition era is mercifully over, but the ridiculous food laws are still with us.